to one shot number 23. I am Gabe, here joined by Ajax once again. We got a fun one, ladies and gentlemen, lined up. Don't you think so, Ajax?
Oh yeah, I've been looking forward to this one for a while.
I've been trying to find a reason and an excuse to read these because I read them currently of the updated books. I jumped out from the jumping on point a little while back, so I'm caught up. But I wanted a reason to read Savage Dragon #1. This is part one of their 3-issue miniseries that came out before the main ongoing series started, which is going to this day. But
I believe it's called Baptism of Fire.
Yes, this one here is called Baptism of Fire. It is, which is cool. I do like it. It's very fitting with his origin, which we'll get to. But what is cool for people that don't know about Savage Dragon, first of all, I am reviewing this from my signed copy. Very happy. Erik was such a nice dude to meet. As I met him, he was the only comic guy of that was a big name. Like a lot of the big names were there, but they were mostly just hanging out on their phones. Ed was literally at his table, in between signatures, sketching out giant boards, which are the pages for upcoming issues. So he was currently working on the books as he was signing things for people, which is crazy, which is so cool. And some kid walked, I mentioned it on the show before, but some little kid walked up with his little Spider-Man drawing, and the way Erik signed it was by drawing Venom on it to fight the little kid Spider-Man. So this little kid's walking around with an original Erik Larsen drawn Venom with the little kid Spider-Man also drawn on the same page. How fucking cool is that?
That's so sick.
It is so sick. He drew Venom and then he signed it after, and the little kid was like over the moon. He wouldn't even let his dad hold it. It was so cool. I'm like, it's cool that kids like 6 years old know who Erik Larsen is, you know? And
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And like, it wasn't like, oh, sign this for my dad. Like, the kid was like, you can't have this. Like, this is mine. Like, get away. The dad's like, well, I want to keep it safe. He's like, no. Like, I'm holding this.
So I'm keeping it safe. What do you mean?
Yeah, and Erik was like smiling the whole time. He's having a good time. But he was super nice when I went up. I didn't really bother him too much. But it was fun to read Savage Dragon #1 to see what all the hype was about when it came out. Because this book has been staring at me on my spin rack for many moons. So finally, I was able to crack it open and read it. And this is actually a first printing of this I have. And it even still has the poster halfway through the book. When I was reading it, I was like, what the fuck? It still has the poster in it.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. So I have a complete first printing of Savage Dragon signed by Erik. So cool little piece of my collection. We'll forever cherish it. But let's get into Savage Dragon #1.
Real quick, did Erik say anything to you while he was signing the book for you? Anything that stands out?
No, he didn't, because he was Justine and I were staring at his hand, because he draws and signs really weird.
He has a really unique way of drawing.
Yeah, he will like...
His pen claw.
He does it like this.
Yeah.
He'll do this. Like when you're like sketching something, and you're just like, nah. That's how he draws, and it was so crazy. Like, watching him sketch out a page, and I'm watching him sketch out Savage... I think it was a cover, because there was a lot of empty behind him, and he was like going towards the page. And it's so weird watching him sketch out like the features of Savage Dragon, and it's just coming together. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy.
And he draws really fucking fast.
And Justine was like, what are you talking about? I go, look at his hand. She goes, I don't see what you're talking about. I go, no, look at his hand. And I'm like whispering it because we're like, there's a person ahead of us. And she looks and she goes, oh, that looks so uncomfortable. I go, yeah, I know. But I guess he said like he just like growing up, that's how he sketched. And he goes, I can hold it like that. He goes, it just feels weird when he holds it regular. But a lot of the times he'll draw like this and then turn it and sign like that. With me, he signed like this too. He drew with the hand all weird and signed it with the hand all weird. It was very cool.
That's crazy, isn't it?
I seen pictures on Twitter of it and like videos on YouTube, but it was cool seeing it in person. Seeing him actually draw and sketch it out. Like, that's cool, man. Yeah, he's definitely still a very hard-working dude, and I'd never get mad when I go to the shop and I go to pick up Savage Dragon, and Wayne looks at me, he's like, it's coming out next month. I'm like, I know. Because it's always scheduled to come out on a certain date, and it never comes out on that date. But it's okay. I understand what it's like doing art now, and some of his magnitude doing all of the shit that he's doing with the book. Like, I get it, you know? He's taking his time with it. That's how you don't burn out.
Erik does everything besides the colors and the lettering.
Yep.
Which is it's insane.
And usually when guys get older, like, their art changes and it sometimes gets worse. Yeah, his art changed, but it changed in a manner that makes his art really stand out. And it's an art style that is pretty present in this book. You can still kind of see what you get now out of Savage Dragon. It's just there's a lot more like hatching and details in this. He's done away
Mhm.
with the hatching nowadays. So anything that's like hatched with shadows is not really done like that anymore. There's not even dark shadows. It's drawn a lot like what you'd get out of a Kirby book. He draws like a mixture of this era and Jack Kirby. That's his style now. And I like it. It's very unique. It's different. If it's easier for him to draw and get books out, I'm all for it. Because if you can get more books out and the art still looks fun, because he still makes really dynamic pictures to this day.
He does, yeah.
And I will say, people really dog on Savage Dragon's books because of the mature nature that they have turned into over the years. But I will say this. I will say this. When they happen in the books, it does kind of jar you a little bit. But the other 99% of the book is really fun action and honestly a really good ongoing story that is an ongoing story from this issue we're about to review up to the current day. So there's 30-something years worth of lore that has never been rebooted, never been changed. It's all the same lore and canon. And everyone's aged up. So if you meet a character in like 97 that's like 10 years old, you see them again in 2007, they're 10 years older now, which is really cool.
Yeah, it is really
like
cool.
I did see that when there isn't an issue where it's inside of a school, like a kindergarten school, and there's a little girl there, a little Asian girl, and that is actually the same woman that grows up and meets and dates Savage Dragon's son and marries her, and that's the girl in all the books now. But you see her grow up throughout the books, which is crazy. Yeah, it's really cool. Like, you're seeing all this happen in real time. It's insane. Yeah. It's the only book doing that. And that's why I like it. There's no other book like Savage Dragon. And I hope, honestly, that when, sadly, when that day comes where we no longer have Erik Larsen with us, I hope no one touches Savage Dragon.
Yeah, like, that's a creation that should really go with Erik.
That goes with the creator no matter what. This should never be touched. That was like that with Body Bags until recently. They released the Body Bags mini with Hack and Slash,
which I still don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I gotta read it to check it out to see if there's like a something in memoriam of him. But yeah, I don't want anyone to. The only thing I would like to see a Savage Dragon is like a farewell issue. That's all it would. That's what it would have to be. Or I want Erik to end it on his own terms. To say, I'm getting older. This book's ending. Like, this is it. And honestly, I read this book, and I will tell you, issue 1 would make a phenomenal cartoon. An adult cartoon of Savage Dragon would be great. An adult cartoon.
I was gonna say, because it did get a cartoon.
Yeah, no. Oh no, I'm talking about Invincible style, like adult themed. Yeah. You can do like the crazy fucking sex stuff if you want, but you're able to do like the blood and gore like you get in this book and in later books too. Because there is a lot of mature nature things in his books, so I would like to see it get like a Amazon Prime show or something like that, or like a Max deal or something. That would be really cool. If that's something he wants.
It would translate very well.
I mean, that'd be, you have so much material. You have 30 years of ongoing material to go off of.
Yeah.
So 30 plus years. So we're gonna start here. Baptism of Fire. We actually start off here with a beautiful splash page of Savage Dragon lunging at a villain here, and this dude's just saying bloody hell. And you just see this massive dude lunging at him. And you see this character's name is Cutthroat. And this woman is like, Cutthroat, watch out! And there's all these dead bodies around them in this. It looks like a bar, like a diner. This couple reminds me of the couple in Pulp Fiction. Do you remember when the movie starts?
Yeah.
That's what this couple reminds me of. And she's like, don't let him talk to you like that, baby. You know, and he's like, hand me my wallet.
Yeah.
It's the one that says badass motherfucker on it. Yeah. That's what this couple reminds me of. Like the girl just like screaming while the husband's just getting his ass kicked and getting embarrassed. So as these guys are fighting, this dude just lays a massive punch here on Savage Dragon. And then this woman, she lunges on him. She goes, leave me alone, you freak. Leave my man alone. And then he just fucking backhands her with a punch. And then this is when I thought of Pulp Fiction, because when she gets hit, he goes Glowbug, which is probably her name, but it also sounds like a couple nickname, you know?
Yeah.
So she hits the ground, and this guy's pissed now. He just kicks Savage Dragon right in the fucking face.
You green bastard.
You're meat freak. That's such a 90s line. And then as soon as he says that, Savage Dragon headbutts this dude in the hardest manner you could ever think of. And just lays a huge punch into his stomach and sends him flying across wherever they are. And when he hits the ground, this dude's like, "Oh, I'm gonna rip your guts out." He's still like talking shit. And he's like, "I'm gonna gut you, you freak. Get away from me. Keep away from me." And he's like just bleeding out of his mouth. His nose is all fucked up. He goes, "You can't hurt me, you green bastard." And he's like, "Give me one good reason why I should let you take me in." And then we get a really great picture here of Savage Dragon, which is actually used on another cover. And it's funny, whenever I saw this image, I thought he always had a mustache. Whenever I saw it.
Oh, because of the shadows.
Because of the shadows. It looks like a mustache. But he looks all badass. His face is all clawed up and he's bloody. And he says, "Because I say so." And then he just goes, "Good enough." And then we see him getting kicked out, and after giving himself up, they're back outside, and he's just like, "I'll kill you, you bastard." He's acting all badass again. You ain't seen the last of me. And then, he gets rewarded by his cop friend here. He's like, "Hey, good job. Welcome to the force." It's his first day. He goes, "Was it a rough day?" And he goes, "I've had worse." And the next page is just this huge splash page of him being born in fire. It's a baptism of fire almost.
Yeah.
He's laying in this fiery ground, naked. And then we see him in a hospital here. He's in a hospital, and there's a cop over him going, "Oh, you're awake. Good." And he starts asking him questions. We found out this is Lieutenant Frank Darling, and he's from the Chicago Police Department. And he's like, "I just got a couple questions for you, Mr. Man," Mr. Green Man. He goes, "All right, who are you?" And Savage Dragon thinks and pauses, and he goes, "I don't know." The cop's like, "All right, fuck, terrific. This is great. All right, you know where you came from?" And he's like, "No, I don't know where I came from." And the cop's like, "Okay." He starts pouring some coffee, getting a little stressed. He goes, "All right, well, you're burning in a vacant lot. Do you have any idea how you got there?" And Savage Dragon's like, "No." And the cop's like, "All right, do you remember anything about your life prior to waking up?" And Savage Dragon thinks again, and he's like, "Nah, I don't know." And then there's just a great view of the cop looking fucking annoyed.
Just rapid fire questions like, "Why do you have green skin?" Like, what's going on with you? Were you in some kind of accident? What happened?
"Were you born that way?" He's like, "I don't know." And you see the cop again like, "Whew." But like, dude, this is on you. Stop asking questions. And he goes, "All right, who's the president of the United States?" And without skipping a beat, he goes, "George Bush." And the cop's like, "Okay, all right, you're not completely a blank slate. All right, who played Fred Mertz?" And he goes, "William Frawley." Okay. When's the last time
my favorite.
When's the last time the Cubs won a World Series? 1945. That's right. When's your birthday? I don't know. Like, fuck. So we learn that Savage Dragon doesn't know anything about himself, where he came from, anything before he landed, but he knows everything about everything else in the world going on around him. And we get a really cool image here, Ajax, because this is the first cameo appearance of Super Patriot.
The Super Patriot.
Yes, the OG Super Patriot before his untimely incident. So we're watching him just beat up on these baddies here. And we see Frank talking to his wife here, and he's just like, "Yeah, it was so weird. Like, he knows everything about everything else, but doesn't remember any friends, family, where he came from, why his skin's green." And his wife's just like, "Are you done with your food?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, sure, I'm done." And he goes on, and he's like, "I don't know if he's like a mutant or if he's from like space. I just know he's strong." And the wife goes, I'm going to turn the TV off. And he goes, "No, wait." And then we find out here, Super Patriot is in critical condition. And we find out here, this is where Super Patriot has lost his limbs. They're saying if he lives from this, he may never walk again. Hint, hint. he does come back as
Of
the
course.
coolest looking motherfucker of all time. And still to this day, the coolest looking motherfucker of all time. If you are a fan of Invincible, he does show up in the comic books. So definitely check that out if you haven't read Invincible. But when we find that out, Frank is like beside himself. He's like, fuck. So we find out that he is staying with Frank's cousin in his warehouse. So he goes to visit the warehouse, and he goes, oh, hey, you catching up on your reading? And he goes, oh, yeah. He goes, but listen, Dragon, I need your help. All these heroes are being murdered in cold blood. They're dying. We're losing all these strong heroes. And honestly, all the villains are strong bad guys, and cops with guns are not going to put these guys away. To which I say, wow, a logical person in this world of comic books. Usually they'd be like, Spider-Man, don't get involved. The cops are showing up. Like, no, this is a supervillain. We need someone that can punch someone to the moon. So he tells him, he's like, do you want to join the police force? And Dragon's like, no. He goes, look, Frank, I thank you for getting me a job and, for your friendship, but listen, I'm only one man. I can't solve all of the problems of your police force. Like, just having me isn't going to help everything. And he goes, on top of that, I'm trying to find out who the hell I am. I don't know where I came from. Like, there's a lot on my plate, He's like, you're asking for too much. Just give me a sec. Like, I'm sorry. I can't do this for you. So then Frank goes back to his wife, and he's basically like, this motherfucker, I gave him a place to live, I gave him a job, and he can't help me out once? I could have taken him to jail, and I didn't. He owes me. He's like, he owes me this. And she's like, well, listen, like, you don't have to blame him. Like, it's been just over a month since he came over here. Like, there's a lot he has to process. Give him some time. And he's basically like, yeah, I know. But, like, I need help, though. He's like, we're running out of time. He goes, and manpower and morale. We're losing the battle with all these villains. Like, we need someone on our side to help us out. And they both look distraught. And he doesn't know what to do. He's just a cop looking to try to do good for his community. And he's trying to do everything he can to help his community out. And he's lost. He's one of the good ones. And we see the warehouse here. And we see Savage Dragon lifting up the warehouse, going back to bed. And across the street, we see someone being robbed here. They say something that I don't know if it's racist or not, so I'm not going to repeat it. Which is your choice, and then calls him something that I don't know if it's racist or not.
I mean, given the color of his skin,
yeah,
I think you can put two and two together.
But luckily, right after that, Savage Dragon, you see, this is the greatest fucking thing ever. He calls him something super racist, and then out of nowhere, this guy's fingers fucking crunch and crack and break. We see a giant green hand grabbed it, and then
gives him instant CTE.
Dude,
like
this
instant.
guy's face is halfway into a wall. And you just hear it doesn't even say crunch. It says crunch for the wrist, and then it says runch for the head.
Yeah.
And then, out of nowhere, this giant skeleton-looking guy who's partners with this racist dude goes, bad move, ugly, you're dust. And the minute he says that, Savage Dragon just puts a fist up and goes, boom, give it a rest. And the dude's neck just fucking snaps to the side. And he goes flying with the next move. He just bitch slaps the guy. And he goes flying with ease. And then I'm gonna have to censor this next line. But this guy says, what's wrong with you? You some kind of or something? This is the second book where they've said this, Ajax.
Hey, it's the early 90s.
He goes, you're a super freak like us. Why are you going against us? We all, we got power. Let's use it for what we can and get as much as we can out of it. And he goes, thanks for the guidance counseling, pinhead. I do want to do one thing. Put your butt in jail. And the next thing we see the guy all angry. He's like, you're dead. You cheese. Don't know it yet. And his face is fucked up, the racist. So he tells me, like, that's enough, you creep. Move it on. They arrest these two guys, and Savage Dragon's all happy. He worked with the police. We go back to Frank's, what was it? It was his cousin, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's his Frank's cousin, the one who got called that thing earlier. And it was his office getting ransacked. And he goes, damn. And he goes, what is it, Fred? What are you doing? He goes, what does it look like I'm doing, you big idiot? I'm getting the hell out of here. He goes, I spent a lifetime building this business, and in 1 minute, you've destroyed it. They wanted money, and now they're going to want me dead because you just fucked them up. He goes, you're an idiot. This is all your fault. First of all, Super ungrateful. This man just saved your life, and you're mad about this. And he's like, listen, you'll be okay. I'll protect you. I swear it. And then the fucking building blows up in the craziest looking explosion. It says, what is the quote? Badoom! And now the cousin's dead. And Savage Dragon is laying in a fiery pit once again. And I'm guessing this is the baptism of fire. You know?
It's gotta
Get it?
be that, yeah.
This is his awakening of wanting to do good in the world. And he's finding that out by everything burning around him. Very, honestly, kind of deep. Not even gonna lie. This is a cool origin story, I will say at this point. This is very cool. Very sad, but it's a solid one. That is for sure. It makes you feel bad for him. It makes you feel really bad. He was trying to do good.
It does, yeah.
So now we find out that the Mighty Man, who has been a hero since the 1940s, has died. It goes at 4:31 p.m. Robert Berman, the man who became Mighty Man, died. Just a few days ago after his secret identity had been reported, Mr. Berman was brutally beaten and stabbed in his Elgin, Illinois home. I kind of like this because this is really putting like a grounded reality on heroes that you see.
Could you fucking imagine someone stabbing Clark Kent to death? Could you imagine? Because that's basically what happened in the Savage Dragon universe.
And this is interesting here. It goes, Robert Berman was 67 years old. He regained consciousness in the hospital only briefly, but apparently lacked the strength to magically transform himself into the hero who was at one time dubbed the world's mightiest man. To which I'm thinking, is he like Shazam?
Oh, yeah.
Because it says he failed to he couldn't transform anymore. Did they like catch him lacking?
Shazam also, Thor originally was like that as well.
Because
Thor was a doctor who slammed his cane down and he transformed into Thor.
And Shazam was a kid, but I don't think Shazam had a thing where he didn't age, though, right? Couldn't he age? Or was he always just stuck out as a kid? Did it just never bother to acknowledge that? I like to think this is like...
That's a really good question.
I like to think this is like if Billy Batson could age and he turned 67, because it says he was in the 1940s he was fighting, so he would still age and he couldn't change from in time, so that makes sense. I could see that. And you see Frank watching this on TV. I do like this little Frank Miller-esque news screen they do in the corner. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I always love that in a comic, especially when it's not covering the page like Todd and Frank do.
I was gonna say Todd does that a lot in Spawn.
Yeah. But yeah, Frank's watching. He's like, "Fuck!" Like another one dead. Like right as I was saying, we need help. Like another major hero dies. And he has a knock at the door. When he opens it, it is a naked Savage Dragon. He's like, "Even Frank, a little trouble down at the office. Bad guys threatened Fred. I broke their faces, and they had the place blown sky high. The bad news is that your cousin's dead. The good news is that I'm ready to take you up on your offer." And then this dude, after finding out his cousin dies, is just like, "Are you good, though? Bro, your cousin's dead. Did you just skip over that fact?"
Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
This is where Dragon's like, "Listen, if you could get me something to wear, listen, I can join the police academy, get started. I want to help now. I'm taking you up on that offer. I need to do right by your cousin." He goes, "There's nothing else I can do. So, you know what? Count me in. I got nothing else to do with my time." The business I was at blew up. To which you cut to current day Chicago. And just like in real life Chicago, there's a lot of gunfire going off right now. At this female officer, she hits the ground. She's calling for backup. And when she calls for backup, you see this giant foot step down. And it is a cool looking picture of Savage Dragon with fucking shades.
He's got this fucking tight muscle shirt. He's got these red sunglasses on and these skin tight fucking jeans.
And I love her nonchalant, just care to lend a hand? And then to which he responds, "Yeah, I can lend a hand," and he goes inside the car. Oh, fucking yeah, dude. That's awesome. Savage Dragon loaded with guns and fucking ammo across his chest. He goes, "I'm going in." And she goes, "Oh, boy." She goes, "But how are you going to get in?" And he just launches like 1,000,000 feet in the air and comes crashing through the building. And he goes, "You're under arrest. Go out with your hands up." And these dudes are like, "What the fuck? Kill that guy." And then we get another badass picture of Savage Dragon just shooting machine guns. It's such a cool image. He's just blasting away, shooting all these guys. But if you look, Ajax, he's shooting the guns out their hands and he's hitting their shoulders. Very
He is, yeah.
interestingly. So the guns are getting shot out their hands. If they are getting hit, it's like shoulders or like knees. He gets shot in the eyeball, and he just goes, "Ah, that hurt," and then shoots the guy in the fucking leg.
Yeah.
Just blows his kneecaps out. And he goes, "Are you guys ready to give up yet?" And this crazy drugged up Nazi guy, literally, I'm not just saying he looks like a Nazi, he has a literal swastika on his forehead.
Which I didn't catch at first, but now that I'm seeing it, yeah, it's on his forehead.
Yeah, and he asked the guy, "You ready to give up?" This guy goes, "Drop it, freak, or I'll kill the girl." And he goes, "Wrong answer." And then, as he says that, this dude gets fucking, like, batarang stuck in his arm, and he's just bleeding out from his arm. And he's like, "Don't kill me." He pussies out.
We get Larsen's third character that he's debuting in this book. It's fucking
Yes.
crazy.
Yes. And to which Savage Dragon goes, "Hold it right there, Pajama Man." And he goes, "What the fuck?" He goes, "Can the threat, bro. Like, we're on the same side. Don't shoot me. Like, we're on the same. We're trying to do good in this community." He goes, "And by the way, the name's Star. Just another concerned citizen doing his part to help out. I'll be seeing you." And we see a very serious looking Savage Dragon. I gotta say,
Bro,
though, Larsen's
my mom
art.
had a perm. My mom had a perm just like Star. I'm telling you.
So did my dad.
That's crazy, isn't it?
But I gotta say, Larsen's Savage Dragon art looks cool. Like the shadowing on his face when he's holding this like helpless woman. It looks very, very cool.
Yeah,
Big
like
fan of it.
his close-up shots are really good.
Yeah. And then we cut to outside. He's back in his uniform, still got the bandages on, and he's getting interviewed by the public. They're all like, Officer Dragon, you know, can I ask you a few more questions? You know, why are you here? What do you hope to accomplish? How was your first day on the job? What are you? And he's like, "Listen, I don't want to expect any kind of special treatment from anybody. I'm just here to do my job. I'm here to get rid of people that prey on innocents and go on with my day. I'm just here to do good. That's all. I'm just here to be a police officer." And you see the TV turn off, and we see the most 90s looking villain of all time with wearing fucking tight leather, spikes on the shoulder, chest hair, big fucking hair. He goes, "Of course you realize this means war, boss?" And this guy's name is definitely a copyright infringement. Can we find out this guy's name is Hellraiser? But spelled a little differently
Oh, of course.
than the actual Pinhead Hellraiser. By the way,
Yeah.
I will point out something, though. There's a character named Hellraiser, and when Savage Dragon's fighting the guy that called someone a racial slur early on in this book, the guy called him
That's
Savage Dragon.
Overlord.
Yes, Savage Dragon called him. He goes, "Thanks for the guidance counseling, Pinhead." So not only is there a Pinhead reference, there's a character named Hellraiser.
Yeah.
So we see this supervillain there, and he has this team of big bads. You see this big, bulky dude with metal fucking double mohawks, like fucking Hawk from Legion of Doom. And then we see a guy that looks like King Shark with, like, giant metal shoulder pieces going around in this sex pest looking guy named Hellraiser.
With his chest hair all out.
And his crotch piece.
Yeah.
He's a
His
pervert.
cod piece.
But these are the big bads that will be chasing after Savage Dragon, and that's what it ends on. I will say, this was a really fun #1 issue. This might be
It was
one of the top ones I personally think we've done, besides, like, Spawn, obviously.
I think it's better than Spawn. I think it's
I would
better
s-
than the.
I would say
yeah.
that. I would say that also. I would say this was a better book than Spawn. It laid the groundwork really well for the future Savage Dragon. 3 new people were created for this universe that Larsen's creating, and as we know now, looking in hindsight, he has an entire Wikipedia dedicated to just the characters he's made. Dude,
Yeah.
it's in fucking sane how many people he has created. Like, you look at this profile and the characters that he's created for Savage Dragon, dude. Look at this shit. Like, it's crazy. And I'm only in the M's, and there's like a million of these people.
Yeah.
And the thing is, all these people, a lot of them have beginning stories, middle stories, ends.
And ending stories.
And they're unique. And
Mhm.
whenever, like, there is a read, like, look at, there's a Star, which is this person, Star 1. But then if you look,
Yep.
there's a Star 2, a star 3.
Star 3, yeah.
So they're like, they take up mantles. So like his characters can keep living on, and instead of like rebooting them, you have them age out and someone take over the mantle like it's real life. You know?
Yeah.
And it's also, you look at the Savage Dragon stuff, which is like more of his modern art, and if you look here in the corner, look who it is. It's
Yeah.
Star.
Mhm.
So even like to this day, these characters from issue 1 are still there. Yeah, it's a different Savage Dragon, but it's his kid. Now his kid has kids of his own. So this Savage
Yep.
Dragon's like a grandfather at this point,
Mhm.
which is like crazy. Like there's like marriages and relationships, there's intertwining things. Like it's, if you really want to dive deep into a world, I feel like Savage Dragon is an imprint in itself almost. When you think about
it is.
like you
It
have
really
Image
is.
Comics and then you have Savage Dragon. It's like its own thing.
Because so like Star, Dart, and Super Patriot all got miniseries at one point.
Yes. Yep. And they're all part of like their own things too, because they have like the Freak Force books that came out, which had a lot of these
Yep.
characters, but a lot of them are made by Larsen, so you can just use them whenever. Or they're
Mhm.
made by people he's friends with that are like, I'm never gonna use these guys again. You know, just fucking
Yeah.
just use
Yeah.
them. You know? So it's very cool. So I look at Savage Dragon like what people look at mangas, which is a weird thing when you don't really think about it. You're like, that's weird. But think about it. It's an ongoing series that ages in real time with no reboots. There's a beginning, there's a number 1, and there's not any more number 1s. Besides, there's the miniseries, but then there's number 1 of the main series, and then that's it. You know? There's number 1
Yeah.
to number 270 something, and it's still ongoing, which I think is very cool. It's very obscure in comics to have something like that, and I don't know if it'll ever really be done again. With the way the landscape of comics are, it'll be very tough. Everything will
I
at
don't
least
think
get
it will be.
rebooted once, at least one more time, you know?
Yeah, I don't think it will be. I think Savage Dragon is completely unique and it stands on its own.
Yeah, and that's why I think the series, whether people think it's funny, like the sex stuff is funny and stuff, I don't think that should ever overshadow the bigger story about Savage Dragon. Like
Yeah.
I will sing Savage Dragon praises to the high heavens, and it's like with the times too. Like they'll reference things in real time of like presidencies, and like it's happening with us. So it's
Yeah.
cool to pick up a Savage Dragon book and be like, oh, what's the family up to? Because now it's like a family book now about like his son and his grandkids that are now like 7, 8, 10 years old, but those characters debuted like 7, 8, 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like he had a son that showed up in like the 2000s who's like 20 something now, and yeah, that's his age in the book. It's really crazy. So I would definitely recommend Savage Dragon for anyone. And like I said, even though this is the beginning of the miniseries, this is the beginning of Savage Dragon in total. So when you go into Savage Dragon number 1 of the main series, it's not like a reboot. It's just continuing on from the miniseries. So, say what you want, but I would count this as number 1 in the miniseries, starting as like number 4, honestly,
Mhm. Yeah.
because it just continues on. I don't think he planned for it to be to where it is now, but it just kind of happened over time, and I'm happy it did. So, yeah,
And
AJ,
so
what'd you think though?
I have a feeling that Erik will probably one day be like, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah,
Like this is all that I've wanted to do. And I think when he's done with Savage Dragon, I think he will be done with comic books altogether.
that's gonna be This is his big thing, and I
Mhm.
think I mean, listen, since 1992 is when Image started,
I think it's 92. Yeah.
so 2020 until 2025.
Yeah.
That's a long time of constantly putting out books, and they don't come out every month, and he'll take some breaks, but he's still putting out books, no matter what people say. He's still putting them out. He's almost at issue 300. He's getting there.
Yeah. Well, now it's a bi-monthly book, but it wasn't always like that.
Yeah, this used to be every month you get a new book, and then at one point it
Mhm.
took like 4 to 6 months for a book to come out. And I'd rather him do that than get burned out and just give up on the book and quit it
Yeah.
and have it not have an ending. I'd rather have him just take time.
For sure.
But yeah, I'll never dog on Savage Dragon. It's my turn off my brain and have fun book. Because I know it's going to be a fun story no matter what it is. And honestly, like, there is, like, a moral story with everything. And right now, the main story with it is, like, family and taking care of family and making
I was
sure
gonna
they're
say,
safe.
even though like it's a really good action book,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a good story as well.
Yeah. I will say
Like
Erik Larsen is a
I'm very
dream
intrigued
interview.
by the dragon itself
Yeah,
and
literally.
his journey. You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a there's a big hole in my heart that will be filled the day we get to interview Erik Larsen.
Oh man, that'd be awesome. I would love that.
I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I would love for that day to come. Um, because he is just such a. I mean, I don't even know where you get the ideas to like continue on for so long with an ongoing story like this of this magnitude. You know, like I don't even know how he keeps track of shit because he does shit for like 30 something years, and it's not like he fucks up like a main story point. Like
Yeah.
like I've never heard of him like messing like maybe he has, but I've never heard of it where yeah, he totally just retconned something he did before. Like he always has a reason for something. If something needs to change, there's a reason for it happening. So, and he never I don't know how he keeps track of this stuff. I don't know how he does it. But it is cool. There is like characters you'll see and meet in like issue like 7 that recently had like a wedding issue, which is like fucking crazy. You know? Who grew up and had wedding issues. And it's not like they're like rapidly aging. Like they aged
Yeah.
in real time. Like when you met them at 7, you saw them a year later in the issue, they were only 8. Like they kept aging in real time. Very cool. I don't even think mangas do that. So that's like very interesting.
I only have one issue with Savage Dragon. For such a quote unquote mainstream independent book,
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard to find in collected form.
Yes.
It's very hard to find Savage Dragon trades, which
Yeah,
sucks.
there's some dude, oh my god. There's a shop near me that had like a short or it was a long box of books, and when I looked in it, it was just a long box of a Savage Dragon trade paperback. It was like a million of them. I'm like, why are they just hoarding these? It was this one here. They just had a long box full of these, and I don't know why.
And that's the first miniseries.
Yeah, and I don't know why. They just had an entire box full of them. So I've never looked into. Oh, look, there's the OG Baptism of Fire trade paperback there.
Yeah.
There it is. Oh, that's the cover of the fucking trade paperback. Oh my god, that's amazing. So it looks like for a while they're doing trade paperbacks of arcs.
Yeah.
I did see this. I don't know if this is new. This looks pretty new.
Ultimate Collection.
Yeah, with the green.
The Ultimate Collection is new.
This, yeah.
My
That's
only
cool.
problem with the Ultimate Collection is I think they're too short. They're only like 400 pages. I would kind of prefer them to be more around like the 600 to 700 page count.
Yeah, because there's so much to cover.
There is.
I wonder if that's done purposefully because it's ongoing. I don't know if that's so they want to like space it out. So like by the time they get another one out, they can put material in it. I don't know. But no, I feel like you would think you would want to put them all out as much as possible so people could catch up and then jump on. And this is for people that want to read Savage Dragon, this is one of those books where you can't just walk in. A lot of shops you can't just walk in and just grab the book off the shelf. This is a very low print book.
Yeah.
So it's something you have to either order online ahead of time or add to your pull box, which is what I do. But even then, sometimes it won't ship out on time because that's not on him, that's on distributors. A lot with like image books, especially distributors would be late. But yeah, it's a book you need to order and have ready to be on its way to you. You can't just walk in and grab it like a Marvel book. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing like it. There'll nothing be like it ever again. But by the way, Savage Dragon in total has so many crossovers. I was looking at this one here with Hellboy. I just read Savage Dragon and Superman, and it's funny reading because that must have been a little bit longer in Savage Dragon's run where he develops more of a character. Because him compared to this one shot, it's like night and day. Savage Dragon's like an arrogant, cocky dude who like hates Superman because he thinks Superman's so perfect, and he's just like he hates him. He hates that Superman's like this preppy, like whatever, like do-gooder. He's like, fuck this guy. Like the world's violent. The world sucks. I see how it is by being a cop. Like this guy, like the world's not perfect, Superman. Like that's how he hates Superman for that, which is like, it's kind of realistic.
But that makes for a good story theoretically because he can start out like that.
Yep.
And then towards the end, he's like, you know what? I get it. I understand you, Superman. I'm sorry for giving you a hard time.
This guy's collection of Savage Dragon trade paperbacks looks insane.
It really does.
30 years of Savage Dragon. And I will say recently there was like a jumping on point where they moved to San Diego. The family moved out of wherever they were before, and they moved to San Diego, and that was the big jumping on point book. That's where I jumped on.
I don't think it was San Diego. I think it was San Francisco.
San Francisco, sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
San Francisco, right here. And, yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. This was a fun jumping on point for Savage Dragon. So, like I said, look, he's got a whole family. So, and plus, I gotta say, too, people don't talk about it enough. Savage Dragon highlights a lot of characters of color. A lot.
Yeah.
Throughout its run.
Yeah, they really do.
I mean, the current dragon is a mixed race child. The current dragon is half dragon and half black. He highlights a lot of people of color, which is very cool. Whether it's like black, Hispanic, everything, Asian.
Should we mention that the current dragon is Malcolm?
Yes.
Should we mention that Malcolm's mother was a superpowered prostitute?
Yeah.
That's canon.
Yeah, it is. It's canon. Yeah. And his wife is a sex positive, like crazy chick. She is nuts, but also at the same time you love her because she's so weird.
Yeah.
She's so nuts, but she's great. I love her. She's a great character. I don't know. I just don't think Savage Dragon gets enough love, and I think that's what I wanted this one shot to be about, was just like trying to give Savage Dragon its due. I don't know.
It's not for everyone, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. It's not for everyone, but I feel like if you read from a certain point on, you might just grow to just, because I'm not reading it for the sex. You know what I mean? I'm reading it for the family story of it. You know what I mean? And again,
Me
I got
too,
it.
Yeah.
And I got it for I got it too mostly for because I love Erik Larsen's art. His art is cool.
Yeah,
it's unique.
I absolutely agree with that.
It looks different than this. You know, the OG art. It doesn't look the same. You know, it looks more like this now. But I like the way I like the turn it's taken. It's more cartoony for sure, but it's kind of okay. It's like if Frank Miller didn't suck currently, you know? Like it's that weird cartoony over the top like style, but he does he draws hands if you look here like Kirby. Like those weird where you see the front of their knuckles all the time. That's how he draws. But then if you look at the woman here, this looks like how Frank Miller draws his women, with the big lips and the weird tiny waists and huge boobs. Like he has like a weird mix of all those guys mixed with his own style. Because like the way he's drawn here is drawn similar to our book, just with less cross-hatching, like I was saying earlier, you know? It's like if Frank Miller still had fun drawing and knew what he was doing.
Oh, I miss those days.
But yeah, Savage Dragon #1. Check it out. Links below. You can buy some. You can't buy this on the shelves unless it's like a reprint or your shop is lucky enough to have it in one of its long boxes of back issues. I was lucky enough to find mine for like, I think it was $4. Yeah, got mine for $4 when I got it. So it's not an expensive book. It was sold a lot. It sold a lot of copies. So you can find it almost at every shop, depending on if they have it or not. So,
would you say overall this is the best first issue that we've read? I would say so.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say this, and then I would definitely put Battle Chasers at #2.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That was a great introduction.
You're right.
To Battle Chasers. So I think I'll put that #2. Ooh, #3. I don't know what I'd put at #3. Maybe, I don't know. Spawn was like cool because it looked cool and it laid the groundwork, but I feel like it could have been more, you know?
Yeah, the reason why I liked issue 1 of Savage Dragon so much is because it just throws you into the action.
Yeah, it did so much, and it like by the end of this issue, I know who he is. I want to know more about him. He has like a mysterious background you want to keep reading about. He has a motivation, and he has a supporting cast I want to learn more about. There's a mysterious hero that you want to keep reading about called Star. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff that makes you want to read issue 2, which I think I have issue 2 and 3 of the mini. So I might complete the mini.
And that's the thing about the first issue is that Erik keeps introducing these side characters, and you're like, oh, they look cool. Like I want to know more about them.
And it's funny too. There's distinctions for every dragon on this like website too. Like all the kids have like profiles, and there's so many dragons, dude. Like there's so many dragons. But I gotta say though, besides the main dragon, I'd say Malcolm is probably like he's cool.
He's cool, yeah.
He's cool. He gives no fucks in the new books. Like if he sees a bad guy, he will throw down immediately. But I do like this too. Like you see his first appearance is #29 in a flash forward like going into the future. But, like, his first appearance is his birth. Like, it's crazy. He was, look at date of birth. He was born November 8th, 1996, which would put him, he's a year younger than us. Or a year older. Dude, older than us.
No, or I'm born November 96.
Oh, shit!
Yeah!
You're his age!
Yeah!
You're the same age as Malcolm!
Age. Yeah!
Oh, shit.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, it's cool. I would say, for people that are interested, Savage Dragon, it's wiki.savagedragon.com. There's an old wiki, and then there's a new wiki, which is the 2.0, which is updated more. But yeah, there's a bunch of cool stuff on this wiki that, if you want to learn about the characters, and like it has all of his relatives, there's like stepsisters and mother-in-law, father-in-law, who he slept with, who was a fuck buddy, like all that stuff is in here.
Yeah.
But I like, so this is why, real quick, why I like Malcolm is because, like, yeah, Savage Dragon was, like, I got to read more of, like, the OG Dragon. I like Malcolm because he's just, like, he's just a guy that loves his family. He wants to take care of them. Like, he is someone that, in the book, while, like, kicking people's asses, all he's worried about is, like, fuck, like, if we move to San Francisco, like, where are the kids gonna go to school? And, like, as he's thinking this, he's beating the shit out of, like, an alien from, like, that's trying to take over San Francisco that while he was visiting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's like, fuck, like, where are the kids gonna go to school? Like, how is she gonna be able to, like, not get a job? Am I gonna be able to support my family? Like, it's stuff like that I like about Savage Dragon. It's that, like, it's not even slice of life. It's, like, a whole pie of life in Savage Dragon, to put it bluntly, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It's very cool. If you like that out of Spider-Man, like the Peter Parker aspect of Spider-Man and him working and managing relationships, then Savage Dragon might actually be the book for you. Because that's what it's really all about that. There's a lot of action in it. It's a great action book, but it's mostly about the relationships about everyone, which is cool. So, and I will say, everyone's written uniquely. There's not one person that acts like another of these millions of characters. And whenever they do act similar, it's because they're most likely taking over the mantle of another character, and they're similar. They have to be. So, yeah. But check out Savage Dragon #1. Next time, though, Ajax. Next time, we do our one-shot for February to honor our 2-year anniversary, Ajax. We're going to be, it's the month of love, right? And you know, when you see someone, your blood starts going, your heart starts racing. Well, there's a person who heart starts racing when action comes. Because Ajax, we're going to be reviewing our first Valiant comic book. As we will be reviewing Bloodshot #1.
I knew where that was going.
We've talked about Bloodshot before, but we are finally jumping into a Valiant title and reviewing Bloodshot #1.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
I'm very excited for that. And I will say, in 2025, there will be 2 times, at least already planned. There's going to be more, but planned. There's 2 titles planned that will be covering the mini-series of something. So it won't be just the #1 issue. It'll be the #1, and then the month after doing the #2. You know?
Okay.
So we'll be doing that, because I think we did that once, and I like that.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of #1s where we just stop there, and then we read it on our own, but why not complete a run of something? So something short. So, and what I have planned, you'll like when I'll tell you, but
Sweet.
I'm very excited. So thank you guys for listening. We will see you on issue 24 in February. You all take care and stay safe.